Sign up. If you'd like to continue receiving the Washington Examiner's Daily on Energy newsletter, subscribe here, http://newsletters.washingtonexaminer.com/newsletter/daily-on-energy/chamber launches major campaign to get in front of the Green New Deal. The business community is aiming to counter the Green New Deal with an energy innovation agenda, launching a major new campaign on Thursday to persuade the public and Congress that technology is better than regulation in addressing climate change. The Chamber of Commerce's energy arm, the Global Energy Institute, launched the American Energy, Cleaner, Stronger campaign with polling data showing that the majority of Americans prefer investments in new innovative energy technologies to mandates like those in the Green New Deal. As part of GAY's new initiative, we will highlight the technologies, people and companies that make investments in our nation's energy sector that spur continued economic growth and environmental progress, the institute said. The plan has bipartisan support, based on the polling the institute released Thursday to back up the new initiative. The Cleaner, Stronger agenda is supported by 73% of voters compared to 23% who support the Green New Deal. Democrats also support the Cleaner, Stronger agenda, with 96% of Democrats saying they are willing to vote for candidates that back the innovation agenda. Christopher Gith, the recently appointed acting president of the institute, told John that Americans are concerned about climate change, but they overwhelmingly support a plan to innovate if the alternative is enacting regulations that will drive up prices. Legislation in the queue, he said. In the coming weeks, there will be legislative proposals pushed by the initiative to demonstrate the innovative agenda. Some examples include recent legislation that passed the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee that supports carbon capture technology for power plants. The bipartisan Use IT Act that passed the committee on Wednesday would invest $50 million to research carbon capture and utilization technologies that would trap carbon from industrial facilities and reuse it for commercial products. Getting aggressive when it comes to lobbying, the institute will also be launching a very aggressive lobbying campaign on Capitol Hill and with the Trump administration for them to embrace the Cleaner, Stronger agenda. The lobbying initiative will also feature television ads. Trump's executive order gets recognized under agenda. Interestingly, the poll also asked voters whether they supported the executive orders issued by the president on Wednesday to speed up pipeline development by restricting the use of the law by states to oppose energy infrastructure. The polling data showed that 79% of voters support the executive order, which the chamber sees as fitting into its proposal. Gith said the president's actions represent meaningful progress to address some of the most pressing issues that commonly result in permitting delays, and the chamber applauds the Trump administration for tackling the problem. Welcome to Daily on Energy, written by Washington Examiner energy and environment writers John Siciliano, at John Siciliano, and Josh Siegel, at Siegel Scribe. Email daily1energy@washingtonexaminer.com for tips, suggestions, calendar items, and anything else. If a friend sent this to you and you'd like to sign up, click here. If signing up doesn't work, shoot us an email, and we'll add you to our list. Bernhardt on track to be confirmed as Interior Secretary. The Senate is expected to confirm David Bernhardt on Thursday to be Secretary of the Interior Department. During a procedural vote Wednesday, Bernhardt, the current acting secretary, earned the support of all Republicans and also Democratic Sens. Joe Manchin of West Virginia, Martin Heinrich of New Mexico, and Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona. Bernhardt's test vote moved forward despite Democrats calling on Senate Republican leadership to delay the vote until a thorough investigation is complete into ethics violations. Bernhardt has faced intense scrutiny by environmental groups for his ties to the fossil fuel industry as an experienced lobbyist. On the fence, Republicans concerned about Interior's plan to expand offshore drilling, such as Sen. Marco Rubio of Florida, supported Bernhardt after they said he assuaged their concerns. "I am very confident that when all is said and done no oil drilling is coming to our coastline," Rubio said in a Twitter post. "Gasoline prices will continue to rise. Gasoline prices won't stop rising through the Memorial Day holiday until finally peaking in June, when they will begin to fall," the federal government said Wednesday. The Energy Information Administration released its weekly oil price analysis on Wednesday as the cost of gasoline reached nearly $4 per gallon in some parts of the country in the last week. Gasoline retail prices have been tracking higher for months, with the cost of making a gallon of fuel reaching a 25-year high between February and March, according to the administration. But that should level out beginning in the summer, as officials forecast gasoline prices lowering with the projected fall in crude oil prices, the Week in Petroleum report reads. The Energy Information Administration projects that the Brent crude oil price will average $67 per barrel this summer, compared with an average of $75 per barrel last summer. President Trump has continually expressed his concern about high oil prices, frequently tweeting at OPEC not to raise the price. OPEC production cuts are one of the reasons for higher oil prices, but U.S. sanctions on Iran and Venezuela oil exports are also having an effect, say analysts. Grassley to join VP Pence in surveying devastating flooding, Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican Iowa, will be joining Vice President Mike Pence on Friday in surveying the devastating flooding that has wreaked havoc in his state and several others in recent weeks. Flooding by the Missouri River has left hundreds of homes damaged or destroyed by the rising water that hit numerous states last month. Flooding relief is slow going on the federal side, and Grassley wants to begin discussing with the Army Corps of Engineers putting in place a plan to prevent future flooding expected in the coming months. A field hearing will be chaired in Iowa next week by Senator Joni Ernst, Republican Iowa, with the Army Corps, Grassley said on the Senate floor Thursday. "We need to discuss with them how to prevent massive flooding," Grassley said, adding that flood prevention needs to be the Army Corps' #1 priority. Trump escalates war on states' environmental powers with pipeline orders. Trump's move Wednesday to limit the power of states to block oil and gas pipelines is representative of what critics say is his administration's hypocritical approach to cooperative federalism. The Trump administration has rejected former President Barack Obama's muscular approach of using federal government power to combat climate change, deferring action to states to plan for reducing greenhouse gas emissions in the electricity sector. But in other cases, Trump has bristled at what he views as overly aggressive efforts by progressive states to enforce and set environmental rules that impose barriers to his energy dominance agenda. They have rendered the term cooperative federalism meaningless, David Koniski, an associate professor at Indiana University's School of Public and Environmental Affairs, told Josh. "The idea is we are going to delve more and more authority to state governments except in cases where it contradicts our own policy agenda. Although states will retain the right to veto projects absent action from Congress," critics say Trump's move, like others before it, undermines the traditional collaborative role between states and the federal government on protecting the environment. "It is deeply coercive to have the federal government selectively stiffing states on their key role in implementing portions of our bedrock environmental laws," David Hayes, executive director of the State Energy and Environment Impact Center, told Josh. Read more of Josh's report here. John Cornyn to introduce bill to spur carbon capture of natural gas, Senator John Cornyn of Texas, the longtime former Republican whip, plans to introduce a bill soon to incentivize research and development of carbon capture technologies for natural gas plants, his office tells Josh. The measure shows how Republicans are trying to advance small-scale measures to reduce emissions, even as they decry the progressive Green New Deal. The goal of Senator Cornyn's bill is to foster innovative solutions in order to maintain U.S. energy independence while reducing emissions, a Cornyn aide told Joshua. Carbon capture on natural gas plants is a technology in its infancy. Net Power, a North Carolina-based energy startup, successfully launched in May of 2018 a $140 million, 50-megawatt demonstration facility in La Porte, Texas, for what would be the world's first zero-emissions carbon capture and storage natural gas plant. If proven successful, Net Power hopes the technology powering the facility can be used to capture and store carbon in other power plants around the world, mostly ones generating natural gas, which is simpler and cheaper than using it on coal plants. National Wildlife Federation joins Carbon Capture Coalition. The National Wildlife Federation said Wednesday it has joined a diverse coalition group supporting carbon capture technologies as key to combating climate change. To give ourselves the best chance to stabilize the climate, it's essential to invest now in both natural solutions and technologies that can remove, store and reuse the carbon fueling climate change, so that we can protect our natural resources and wildlife for future generations, Colin O'Mara, President and CEO of the National Wildlife Federation, said of joining the Carbon Capture Coalition. The coalition includes energy and industrial companies, labor unions, conservative and centrist clean energy nonprofit organizations, and environmental groups. Bipartisan group of senators moved to extend EV tax credit. A bipartisan group of senators introduced a bill Wednesday to extend the electric vehicle tax credit. Automakers producing electric vehicles and clean energy advocates have called on Congress to extend the credit, with two leading automakers, Tesla and GM, already seeing their tax benefit phased down because they've reached a sales limit. The current $7,500 per vehicle credit for buyers of EVs phases down once an automaker sells 200,000 vehicles. The credit helped U.S. EV sales rise by more than 80% in 2018, from a low base. The new bill, sponsored by Senators Debbie Stabenow, Democrat Michigan, Lamar Alexander, Republican Tennessee, Susan Collins, Republican Maine, and Gary Peters, Democrat Michigan, would extend the number of EVs eligible for the tax credit by an additional 400,000 vehicles per manufacturer. This legislation would continue the momentum towards cleaner transportation and help tackle harmful transportation emissions, Collins said. The rundown Bloomberg Trump plan to shift